There are a few consoles in the entire history of gaming that are as widely and highly revered as the Sega Dreamcast. The lone 6th gen system that launched in the 1990s, it was a conduit between two distinct eras of gaming, and played the role perfectly. It was the system that introduced me, and frankly a lot of people, to the experience of participating in a console launch. It was pointed squarely at my three favorite gaming genres: fighting games, racing games, and JRPGs. So it stands to reason that it's one of my favorite systems of all time, if not my absolute favorite, right? Well, while it's true that I regard it as a distinct high-point system for gaming, the truth is a lot more nuanced than that. When it was pulled from store shelves, and Sega from the hardware business entirely as a result, it was treated like a hero and martyr of a certain brand of gaming, simultaneously too good to catch on with the mass market, and a grim omen of the impending westernization and, shall we say, mainstreamification of the gaming industry. After all, it was games like Halo, Morrowind, Grand Theft Auto 3, and Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic that were driving the console gaming narrative around this time, which was not something we were used to. And the failure of the Dreamcast added an extra layer of intensity to that tribalistic environment. I was absolutely a participant in this. Unlike the console wars mentality of things like 4th and 5th gen that I never really understood or related to, this was something very different, brought on by a nascent Western movement on the console side of the industry that, among other things, in minds like mine, threatened to turn console gaming into PC gaming. Keep in mind that Steam and the Big Tent approach to PC gaming was still years away, so the identity of PC gaming around this time was basically first-person shooters as far as the eye could see, micromanagement-intensive RTS titles, the types of RPGs that could see you get encumbered, and minutia-packed simulations that might as well have included an MIT degree in the requirements. Absolutely nothing that I wanted to see console gaming become. However, I didn't look at the Dreamcast as the last bastion of everything I stood for either. Over time, it didn't escape my notice that Sega and its studios doubled and tripled down on themselves after the company shuttered the hardware division. Its IPs were scattered to all three remaining systems, with the GameCube being a big winner on the port side of things, coming away with Sonic's Immediate Future, Skies of Arcadia, and Phantasy Star Online. Xbox surprisingly did very well for itself in getting the new content like Jet Set Radio Future, Sega GT 2002, Crazy Taxi 3, Panzer Dragoon Orta, Outrun 2, and Gun Valkyrie, to go along with what was the only North American version of Shenmue 2 at the time. Of course, the PS2 didn't exactly lose out either, as it would end up with Shinobi, Nightshade, Virtual on Marts, and most importantly, exclusivity on the Virtua Fighter franchise for the entirety of 6th gen. The 2K Sports brand, which was still Sega property at the time, went everywhere. All told, many of the Xbox and PS2 releases from Sega around this time more than likely started out as Dreamcast projects. So the loss of the Dreamcast wasn't the end of its brand of gaming at all. It marked the beginning of its proliferation. Without being shackled to a machine of its own, Sega was free to spread its style of gaming all throughout the console market, showing the rest of the gaming world exactly what it was missing. However, this did all come at the expense of the Dreamcast's end state, which hemorrhaged exclusives as part of this process. No longer was it the only place to play Sonic Adventure, Crazy Taxi, Skies of Arcadia, Phantasy Star Online, Space Channel 5, and so on. This left it with a collection of exclusives that included Sega GT, Sega Rally 2, putting aside the issue of a PC port in any case, Daytona USA 2001, Flag to Flag, Samba de Amigo, Seaman, Outrigger, and Jet Set Radio, at least for a while. A fine lineup to be sure, but it's clearly the bench picking up the slack here when the starting lineup shuffled off to greener pastures. This gets even more pronounced when you look at how third parties handled their one-time Dreamcast exclusives. However, while the Dreamcast undoubtedly had more worthwhile games abandoned on it than the Wii U did, the spirit of the platform and the brand of gaming it represented didn't just survive, it thrived, ironically, through its former competitors. Of course, I know whenever someone brings out a Dreamcast, even now, good times are about to be had. I can appreciate that a lot of great games got their start on Sega's final console, but the way things played out, with Sega's games continually carrying the soul of the Dreamcast, and many of Dreamcast's own staple titles living on through various forms of preservation, the almost cult that has formed around it has always seemed bizarre to me. It was a fantastic system, sure, but the level of reverence it gets in the face of how things ended up, even now, is almost creepy. A lot less was lost with its demise than people let on, bringing with it a legendary status that feels wholly fabricated, having been there for its entire run, and witnessing firsthand the aftermath of its removal from the market. That's all for now. If you like this video, then please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, as it really helps out the channel. Click the notification bell if you want to know right away when the next video drops. I'm Patrick Mifflin, sounding off.